I was going to start with a joke about how bold it was of Netflix to just completely retitle heavy metal under a different name, but then I looked it up on IMDb right before we started recording this, and turns out that's actually basically just what they did. Netflix was going to buy the rights to heavy metal to remake it, and then they went, oh wait, this guy has a cool idea that's basically the same thing, and then we wouldn't have to pay the rights to heavy metal. So yeah, to all you people out there who have been making that joke online, joke's on us, actually. But hey, everyone, it's me, Aaron.
I'm Michelle.
This is our post-Geekout reaction for Netflix's Love, Death, and Robots, which is this animated anthology series where basically it's several different creators with several different casts telling stories that all center around love, death, and robots.
But that is a very oversimplified...
Up until a point.
Yeah,
then it becomes love, death, and science fiction. Then it becomes, you know what, love can mean many things. So can death. So can science fiction. You know what, fuck it, this one's got a vampire in it. Just do whatever you want.
Like supernatural, like not...
There are moments in here in which, like, I was stretching to be able to go, well, I guess that counts as love. Like, that was a shot of two cats fucking, so I guess that's where that fits into all this. So eventually there comes a point which it just goes, dude, this is just like punk rock science fiction. Just have fun with it.
Mm-hmm. And it was fun.
Fine by me. Also, there's something else that they all have in common, which is that every single one of these is based off of short stories, which I also think is really cool.
Like, were they all based off short stories, or like were any of them like original ideas?
I believe all of them were based off of short stories.
Interesting.
Every single one that I looked up like 15 of them. So unless the remaining 3 were original ideas, which would be weird. Like, I can just picture the people who had to make something off of a short story just looking over those guys like, oh, who's the teacher's pet now? Oh, you got special treatment. You got to make your own story. As far as I can tell, pretty much every single one of them is based off a short story. But that is like the thing that ties them together. And with an anthology series, you do need kind of something that ties them all together. Otherwise, it's just people making random things. But... what did you think about this before we get into this? Because we are going to go through like every single one of these episodes to give you our thoughts on them. But as an overall thing, what do you think?
I really enjoyed this, and I really hope Netflix like keeps doing more stuff like this.
Yes, Netflix feels like they have now finally figured out their shit. Looks like Netflix has now finally figured out this is what works for us. Just going completely nuts, getting super artsy, and cake shows. And shows about baking. Which, hey man, those appear to be my 2 different speeds, so I'm totally fine with that. Let's do a post-Geekout reaction for Nailed It, everybody. That show's so good. I'm trying not to laugh. Our dog just walked up to us with the stuffed animal.
Yes.
Hold it up. Little pickle. Little Christmas pickle. Yes. Yay, go Peach.
Oh, I just realized the pickle is green, and we have a green screen.
Ha! You know, I'm not cutting that out. I'm keeping that in.
Oh, Peach, you're so silly.
All right. Yeah, I love this. This is my shit. I love when science fiction just goes ape. When people just get just dirty and grungy with their science fiction, and a lot of this is that. I know that the internet out there like thinks I'm just some big like soy boy like soft guy. But dude, I also just like seeing robots rip people's heads off, and this thing was fucking awesome. Not that there's anything wrong with being a soy boy. Tofu is fucking delicious if you actually know how to cook. Anywho, yeah, let's go ahead and get into this thing, because it began kind of slow for me, but by the time that we got to around like the 3rd episode, I was head over heels for this thing. But what's great about this is that so many Netflix shows, you feel like you gotta keep watching, you gotta keep binging. Every single night that we watched this, it felt like I got to a point which was like, okay, I am full. I have had a meal. I can stop now.
Well, I think it also helps that like these are all like shorts, like their own contained stories. So there's like no overarching plot.
I have to know how it continues.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. But the first one is Sonnie's Edge. It's so weird that this is the first one, because to me, this is one of the weaker ones, in my opinion. I liked all of these.
It had all 3 things: love, death, and robots. Although I don't know if that really considered a robot? Like they
a genetically engineered creature with a cyber intelligence inside of it counts as a robot to me.
I guess so, but it's like it's not. It's organic. I usually think of like machines when I think of robots.
It's at the end of this thing, you see that Sonnie is like basically machine herself at that point. So this is basically in the future. There's genetically modified monster cage fighting going on.
Yeah.
And there's this woman, Sonnie, and she is like controlling the biggest, baddest lizard monster out there. But she's got a deep, dark past. And yeah, she's just a grizzled badass, and you basically find out that she's got a grizzled past because they never actually say it, but it's heavily implied that it's like a sexual assault kind of a thing, and that this is her way of getting back at everyone. Is that she's slowly like working her way up through the system. It's kind of like Megalobox, except mixed with kaijus, which is fine by me. That's an awesome concept. I like this one, but it's kind of just like, look at how cool everything is.
Yeah. But like sometimes that's
all you need.
Yes.
A lot of the things on this list are, look at how cool this thing is.
Yes.
But yeah, I like this one, but at the end of it, I was impressed by what they did, but it was not one of my favorites. What about you?
Yeah, I feel the same way. It's like, how about we go through the list first, and then we like
then we'll rank them?
Yeah, then I don't know about ranking, but like say like which ones are your favorites.
That's a good idea. Next is 3 robots. This is one of my favorites. I love this one.
It is very entertaining, and I really like the concept.
I love the concept. Basically, the concept is, for anybody who hasn't watched this yet, the concept is that it's these 3 robots in the post-apocalyptic world. Mankind has been wiped out. And basically, they're just tourists.
Yeah, they're like touring like all the sites where like all the people got annihilated.
They're touring where mankind used to live, and like they're going by like a diner, by like a basketball stadium. They're going by like all these different places, and it's like, what? And one of them is they're just like, I don't get what the hell is the point of this? And he's like holding up a basketball, and like, oh, primitive man used to stand around and they bounce it. Bounce. Oh my god, that was amazing! Oh, you gotta tell me how that was. I don't know, kind of anticlimactic. Just the interactions between these 3 robots are so good.
They're like 3 very differently designed.
Different personalities.
Yeah, it's like you have one who's like, you know, your typical like robot who's like very
human
high-tech.
Size, just silver.
And then there's like the little chibi robot, and he's like the big nerd who's like gushing over all the human stuff.
I love him.
And then,
I want a plush of that guy. I want a little figure of that guy.
And then there's the what are they, the metronomes? Is that what they're called? Yeah, and it's basically GLaDOS, yes.
It's GLaDOS, like 100%. Like, again, this film they got a lot of really talented voice cast for this.
So it's like, these are not indie.
I was honestly wondering how they got such really, like, talented animators on this. Because I kept looking at this and going, are these, like, people who... They make like big budget, like
super talented animators.
Is this like what the Pixar guys do when they're like off hours?
And like super talented animators and well-known voice actors and everything. So it's like
there were so many people in here who I was just like, it's that person, it's that person, it's that person, it's that person. This thing ends with Chris Parnell making a guest appearance in this, and he was great in that as well. Yeah, I love this one. Like the humor in here, the design is great, the concept is so good. This one. This wasn't the one that, like, totally, like, won me over, but, like, after Sonnie's Edge, I was like, okay, this is pretty nice. This is one that made me go, oh, it's not just all gonna be, like, grindhouse shit. It's gonna be, like, really, there's gonna be different things. This was the perfect thing to follow Sonnie's Edge up with, because it's so different from it. It makes you realize how different these can be. Next was The Witness, which this one doesn't really have anything to do with robots at all.
It might.
Maybe, yes, true. Yes. Very true.
Because, like, it's about... a lady who witnesses a murder, and the person who got murdered looks like her, exactly like her. So maybe she was a robot. That's or what a clone,
That's what makes you think at first. That's what I was thinking in the beginning. This is going to be revealed that they're actually robots or something.
But the thing is,
this is all just one big chase sequence, and the city in this looks amazing. Yeah. I honestly wondered if some of these shots were real location shots that they then just animated our protagonist running through.
Yeah, I mean, it's like some of these feel so realistic. It's like you forget that they're actually animated. And like the only reason why you know this short is animated is because there would be like little cartoon effects, like someone bumps into a wall, like bump or something like that.
Yeah, also like their eyes and stuff are a little bit exaggerated. But there's one later on that we'll get to where I kept looking at that and going, you motherfuckers cheated. These are real people. You cheated. Actually, there is one that involves real people, but
yeah, but like there's also animation in there.
There's also some that are just really darn good looking. This one, I've heard a lot of people complain about this one, like being like their worst. I thought this one was just fine.
Maybe it's just too deep for them to understand.
I think it might have been that this one got too graphic for them, because there is like a moment in which the guy chasing our protagonist down, he goes into a strip club, and then you watch our protagonist basically then do like a whole like strip dance.
Oh, so stripping is too graphic, but having someone like smashed to death with blood and guts is perfectly okay?
Well, no, I think it's not so much graphic as it was that there was no point to that other than just to show off like tits and ass. Because yeah, it is like graphic how much they show, but I think that a lot of people feel like, yeah, you kind of just stop this whole thing just to like have this happen, and it doesn't really like, it wasn't necessary. To me, it like fit the tone, so I was okay with it. But I can understand people going like, yeah, it does feel like if you have a chase sequence going on and then you stop for this, I can understand.
Yeah, like if you see this short within like this entire sequence, you know, love, death, and robots, it fits in. But if you just saw this on your own, I can understand why.
Absolutely. To me, it kind of fit it kind of fit like the overall tone of like all this.
Yeah.
But at the end of this, the big twist of this thing is that at the end, she then has to kill the guy who's been following her this whole time. She's paying, and she then looks out, and we called it like 5 seconds before it happened. But she looks across the street, and she is now in the building where he killed her in the beginning, and she looks across the street at the apartment that she was in the beginning, and he is now there looking at her, and she now has to run out to try and stop him from telling people about this. So it's some big cycle loop thing. It's a Twilight Zone kind of thing.
Yeah, it is.
But there wasn't really much of like and this is the big meaning of it all. It's more like, hey, isn't that cool? Like,
or you can like interpret it however you want.
There's many, you can. This is one of those where like you could sit around and have a big conversation about, but to me it was just like, yeah, that's kind of cool. That's all I really got.
Oh, what a neat twist.
Yeah. Like you got like, oh, that's neat. That's all I really got from that one. Next up though, this is the one that made me love this.
Oh, same here.
This is the one that made me go, okay, strap yourselves in. I'm good to go now. Next was Suits.
Yeah.
This one is so damn good. This one, by the way, I'm looking at it. This one has got one of the lowest scores out of the people that out of the ratings on IMDb. All right, fine, man.
Whatever, that's your opinion.
That's your opinion. I fucking love this thing.
Yeah.
Basically, it's this farmer and his wife, and there's some kind...
And their neighbors.
And their neighbors. Well, in the beginning, it's just the farmer and his wife.
Yes.
And the wife goes, all right, I got something popping up. It looks like someone's breached our systems. And it's like, okay, well, it's some high-tech future farm kind of a thing. And then he loads up on this big-ass mech, but it's so like a John Deere mech.
Yeah.
Like, it is like he built this out of spare parts in his barn in his free time out of an old tractor kind of a thing. And he goes out there, and all of a sudden, these big insect monsters, it's like the creatures out of The Quiet Place. Like, they start breaking in and start, like, scuttering towards his cows, and he's now having to, like, fight them all off. But then he finds out that there's another breach, and it's bigger than anything they've ever seen. So they got calling the neighbors, and they've got these other neighbors, and one of them, you can kind of tell, is, like, he's kind of like the slacker, like, he's kind of the dumb guy, which that's how, like, the stereotype for all these, like, whenever you have a group of good old boys, there's always the big boss guy, but then there's the guy who he just likes to sit at home and whittle, and he doesn't really, he's not as smart as the other characters. You can kind of tell he's that guy. But he's working on his mech, and his whole thing is that he's a perfectionist, and he's always tinkering with it, always trying to make it better.
And then there's the lady.
She's awesome. She's so damn cool. She is the old grizzled badass.
Yeah.
She has got like an Amelia Earhart, like.
Yeah, she's got smoking a cigar and just like.
Like every line out of her mouth is just like, well, guess it's a good day to die. Yeah, she's so good in this. My voice is being destroyed by trying to do that voice. And then it's just them shooting down these monsters as they're trying to save this farm, and. I mean, that's the entire thing, but goddamn, the characters are so good. Their designs are so great.
Yes. I really do love the characters. Like, that you actually, like, got a taste of other personalities.
Yeah, you guys have to remember, I grew up on a farm. I will always have like a deep love for like the good old boys who get together and like save the day kind of storyline. Like I came from that kind of a background, so I'm always gonna have that soft spot. And yeah, man, you look at this guy who's basically like, if this was a live action thing from 20 years ago, it would have been John Goodman having to lead the charge against all these bugs and their mechs and this old badass lady in there. It's like, goddamn. Yeah, man, it's so...
Oop, there goes your phone.
There goes my phone. Yeah, I just love these characters and just the end of this thing.
Yes.
You want to talk about a Twilight Zone style ending? The end of this thing, like you picture, okay, it's like a future farm and Earth is being invaded by monsters. Man, okay, again, sorry to go with full spoilers on this thing.
But it's like, they're like really short.
It's on Netflix, so go and watch this.
It's on Netflix and they're all really short, so you can like watch through these.
We are talking longer about some of these than they actually exist. Yeah, at the end of this thing, camera pulls out, it reveals the farm is underneath some kind of a dome, and the dome is just covered in these monsters constantly trying to get in, and the dome is on another alien planet. Okay, it doesn't really mean anything, there's not a message to it, but it's a good, didn't see that coming kind of twist.
It's like, this is way more serious than we thought.
Yeah,
like
it does, it's like, alright, these guys, they're good. It's like, no, they're not good, they're surrounded by these monsters all the time, but they'll just find whatever peaceful life they can, whatever they can. It's like, that's just what life is to them, and that's fine. Yeah, man, I love Suits. That was a great one. Sucker of Souls was the next one. I really like this one for no other reason than the fact that it gave me Soldier 76 saying fuck nuts.
Yeah, it's like, I remember, like, when you pause this, like, go get pizza or whatever, I read the description, it's like, army, these soldiers have to fight off vampires using cats? And I was like, so the cats are actually gonna be like little robots and they're gonna like help the soldiers fight off the vampires, and that did not happen.
This was the first one in which I looked at it and went, okay, The Witness, maybe they were actually robots. This one is the first one which you went, well, you just dropped the robots thing. But like, there's a scientist in there, so it's science fiction, I guess?
Science fiction, yeah. Like
fantasy horror, yeah.
Fantasy horror, like supernatural, like non-human things.
Yeah. But at the same time, I really didn't care that I didn't have robots in there, because this thing, I thought the animation was great on it.
Yes, it was nice.
Yeah, I thought it was really darn good. And yeah, man, this is like, it's just a big badass just yelling out obscenities at a vampire as it like slices people up. Hey, man, this is the one for your id. This is the one for like, yeah, there's no higher brain function required on this one. It's just fun. I'm fine with that. I'm fine with that, and I had fun. And I will admit, part of it might be because I'm a big Overwatch fan, and the moment that I realized, oh my god, that's Soldier 76 in there. Yeah, I kind of did get a little bit giddy at. I will admit that, but yeah, this is fun, and again, I like the characters in here.
By the way, this is the one with the two cats fucking, which he mentioned earlier, so...
Yeah, that was the one in which I was like, well, there's no robots, there's no love, there was death, and then there's a moment in which two cats are fucking and went, love, I guess, is in there? I guess, sort of, alright, fine. Yeah, this is the one that made me go, so there's really no point. This also is like one of the lowest rated ones. I like this one, but I can understand. It's very different than the other ones. It's because this one...
It's very basic. There really wasn't much...
This is a basic, like, just we're getting some grizzled old army guys to go in there and fuck up vampires. There's nothing really else aside from that. Sometimes I just want to watch that, and I'm totally fine with that. Yeah, man, I had a blast on this one. I really enjoyed it, but I will admit, it does not have anything deep to it. There's nothing really to it. I did like the characters, though. I liked the two other... like military guys in there. I like the lady who's just in love with explosions. She was good. Yeah, I enjoyed it, but there's nothing really that special to it. But I did enjoy it. When the Yogurt Took Over.
That was a weird one, but I enjoyed it.
I really enjoyed it too. This one is one of those like perfect shorts because it was like 5 minutes long. It was a short film. But if it had gone on longer, you would have just said, this is stupid.
Yeah.
It stayed for the exact amount of time that it should have stuck around for. Yeah, I really did enjoy the brevity of this one.
It's very tongue-in-cheek.
Yes, I like that one too. This one, it's interesting. It is a very interesting film, but it is so not like anything else in this collection. And I have to applaud it for that.
Yeah.
I have to applaud its originality on this. It's basically just, in the future, they create super intelligent yogurt, and the yogurt kind of takes over mankind.
But not in a bad way.
Mankind's life is actually better for being controlled by yogurt.
Yeah, it's like...
to a point.
It's like basically like the yogurt has become so intelligent that it's like, oh, we can solve your national debt. We can create world peace. All you had to do was follow these instructions.
And mankind is too stupid to follow the instructions.
Yes.
This one almost feels like if Monty Python had to make a short for this.
Almost, and it's like, I also really like the animation for it. Like,
really unique.
I like that the humans were actually almost like puppets.
Yes, they did have that feeling. Oh my god, you're right. Totally had that feeling. So yeah, I thought that one was all right. Beyond the Aquila Rift, I think this one is just okay. Up until the end. I think the end is fantastic on this one. And I would love to see the people who made this make a Dead Space animated series. This one, it is a ship crew. They go into hypersleep because they're going to be on this ship for many, many months. And then they wake up and they are actually light years past where they should be. And when they wake up, the captain of the ship, he recognizes someone who's there, someone he had a relationship with. And another member of the crew, she doesn't want to accept this, so they have to put her back in hypersleep because she's like freaking out. And then that night, they bang. Man, you want to talk about when this thing actually gets graphic? Holy shit, they are not afraid to show you some stuff on this one. But yeah, they hook up again, but then afterwards she's like, no, this doesn't make sense. And so she finally has to tell him, all right, this is the truth, but you're not going to like this. You did go past where you're supposed to go, but you're not here. You're here. Like, you are hundreds of light years away. And
he was like, well, then how did you get here? And it's like...
And it slowly starts to go, this isn't real. Something is wrong here. And towards the end, she is telling him, listen, I actually do care for you. I'm actually just trying to take care of you. I take care of anyone who ends up here. And he's demanding that she show him the truth. And you can actually tell whatever this thing is actually isn't malicious.
No.
It actually is wanting to, like, take care of these people and make sure that they're okay. And she decides, all right, I'll show you. And then you see where they actually are. And it's one of the most horrifying things I've ever seen. And I loved it. Again, I thought this was just okay up until that point. But god damn, I love this ending. This ending is such good space horror. And we rarely get good space horror.
Like, I don't know if we should spoil it or...
well, we've spoiled everything else. Yeah, at the end of this, he wakes up and he is in just... It looks like hell. It is just mold and, like, just...
Basically a giant spider web full of, like, trapped spaceships.
Yes, but it's not, like, white webbing. It looks like flesh.
Yeah.
Like if flesh was turned into a spider web, just covering everything. And he's, like, scrawny and malnourished and with a big beard on. And he's looking around. And then he sees this sexy woman figure walking out of the shadows. And then you see this sexy woman figure, like the hips are two giant eye sacs, and like the head is like the front half of like the giant thorax.
Yeah,
coming
it's just
out.
basically this hideous giant spider alien.
It comes out and he's just screaming in horror, and then he wakes up back in the dream. He's like, well, where am I? Wait, you're here? Yes, you shot past your point. And it's like, don't worry, we'll keep trying at this. And god damn, it is a great ending. Let's see. Beyond the Aquila Rift. Good Hunting.
I like that one.
I liked it too. I've heard a couple people complain about the depiction of women in a lot of these ones because there's a couple in here where women are like the survivors of like sexual assault. And I can understand that, so I was kind of conscious about that going into this because this one does have to do a lot with, well, we'll get into that. Basically, it is the story of this young boy in China. His father hunts down spirits.
Yes.
And he's hunting down one of the nine-tailed fox spirits. And the young boy finds the offspring after his dad has killed it. And he doesn't want to kill this young fox spirit. Instead, he slowly forms a friendship with it. And over the years, they become friends. But she slowly loses the ability to turn back into a fox.
Yes, because like basically China's starting to like develop, is becoming like more steampunk. Like
yes, and so
the Industrial Revolution. That's what I was.
Also, Britain is invading.
Yes, that's another reason.
That's another reason. Because this also has a lot to do with like colonialization.
Yes.
So she's losing her magic because magic is just disappearing from the world. years go by, and he is now working very much hand in hand with the British invaders, and he's partly working with them because he does love machines.
Yes.
He's fascinated by machines.
And he's very good at that.
Yes. And she, because she loses the ability to become a fox, she now has to work as a prostitute. It's really the only thing that she can do.
Yeah, it's like she even says, like, I can't hunt, so I don't really know what else to do.
Yeah, because she was trained to be a hunting fox.
Yes.
But these men basically just assault her, they take advantage of her, and then one day, at the end of this, she comes to him for help, and she reveals, I was with the mayor, and he has a fetish for robots. So they dissected me and turned me into a cyborg. Everything from the neck down is robotic now in her. So she wants revenge. So he now builds her a brand new suit that allows her to transform back into a fox, and she goes out to hunt like men who prey on women. And yeah, the animation in this one is gorgeous. I really like the characters in here. Again, I am familiar when the people complain about the depiction of women in a lot of these shorts. I was aware of that, but I don't know. I'm not the one to talk about that. All I will say is that when people do have that complaint, listen to them. I think that I didn't quite agree with it, but I can understand people's view on that. So that's all I'll say about that. You said you really enjoyed this one, right? Okay. Next is The Dump. I like this one.
It was cute and
It's
funny.
It's fun. This one is really just like, it's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's cool. It's, this old prospector-like fellow living out in the city dump, and this guy from the city comes along and, well, sir, I'm sorry, but we're going to have to get you off this property because someone else is moving in here, and
like they're gonna like destroy the dump, and
they're gonna destroy the dump because someone is building something across from the dump, and the fumes are a problem. And basically this all kind of leads up to, hey, the dump is alive, and there's a giant monster in here that devours people, and it's kind of my pet. It's like, oh, that's cute. That's fine. I did like the character designs in here.
Yeah.
I thought that was pretty cool. But yeah, there wasn't really much more to this one. It was just kind of, it was very nice.
Yes.
Very nice. Next up is, where are we at? Shapeshifters. What was Shapeshifters? Oh, yeah, this is the one that I want to talk about with the, like, details and, like, how I looked at this thing and was like, God damn, we are really getting to that point where the uncanny valley is not a thing anymore. Maybe you disagree with me on this one, but man, I really was impressed with this one at times, just animation-wise. But basically, the story of this one is it's werewolves in the army. And they face prejudice from their own soldiers who look at them as they're not human beings. But there's another werewolf out in...
Yeah, this is the Iraqi war during, so...
Was it? Because they said the Taliban. So it was probably Afghanistan.
Yeah, Afghanistan, yeah.
But yeah, it's a cool werewolf thing.
Yeah, if you like werewolves, I do.
I like werewolves. The werewolf transformations are great because it's not like they turn into werewolves. It's like their skin is a suit and the werewolf rips their own skin apart when they turn to it. So I enjoyed that. There's some great sequences in here, like when they're attacked, when like another base is attacked and one of our protagonists, he has to search through it and he just like, basically in like one long shot follows the trail of destruction all around. I thought that was a great shot in here. I did enjoy that when you see the werewolves actually transforming, like after they're wolves, they actually still kind of look like the people that they were. Like I could look at that and kind of buy it. Yeah, I enjoyed this one, but mostly the thing that I enjoyed was just it looked really damn good. There's so many other in here that feel like something truly special. This is just a really cool idea for a werewolf thing. That's all it really was.
Yeah, like, see, that's kind of the thing, is, like, when it comes to, like, animation and stuff, I really don't care how realistic it is.
That's fair, yeah.
I'm more about how stylized you can make it.
Yes. Yeah, so I can understand that. I was more just impressed by, like, holy shit, we can do that now? So next up is Helping Hand. This one was, This one's basically a really graphic version of Gravity.
Yeah, I was just thinking that.
Yeah, it's totally just Gravity. Which, it's weird to say that this is a big fear of mine, because this is something that I will never, ever encounter. But I've always had that fear of being in space and just drifting.
Yeah.
Like, that is a very terrifying idea.
Yeah.
And that's basically what this one is that it's this woman up in space, and she is...
trying to fix a satellite.
And then she just kind of like, something hits her in the back, just some of that shrapnel that's up in space, which actually is a thing. There actually is like a ton of like just crap in space that no one ever really talks about. That's actually a thing that a lot of astronauts have to actually think about. But she gets hit by some stray shrapnel and it sends her floating off.
And it punctures her oxygen tank.
Yeah, so they tell her, don't worry, we're going to have someone there in 50 minutes. And it says, oxygen punctured, 14 minutes of air left. So she knows that she's going to die. But she then decides, she basically ties off her suit's arm so that no air can get in or out, takes her glove off, and uses that to throw it to try and push her back.
Yes.
Get the force to push her back. That's something that I have wondered about. Not could you throw something and push yourself back, but if that works, why can't you just go? Why doesn't that just work?
Because there's nothing to move in space. You actually need to throw something.
Oh, okay. See, I learned something on this one. But she floats past it and she misses it. So then she starts floating towards her ship. So she needs something else to get her to her ship.
And
her arm is being frozen by the zero temperature of space. So she just breaks her own arm off and throws that. There's nothing really to this one other than just watching this woman struggle for survival.
Yeah, it's I thought the twist at the end was her arm was gonna run and hit into another astronaut and they're gonna be drifting off into space.
That actually would have been a good twist. That actually would have been a pretty cool twist. Or cut to a year later and still up there in space.
But they didn't do that.
No, yeah, it's just all right, she made it. That's cool.
Yeah.
This feels like one of those things that the animators were let's just come up with a cool thing to show. And yeah, they came with a cool thing to show. Yeah. That's fine. It didn't really blow me away or anything. Fish Night. This is actually my least favorite of it, which is weird because I think it has some of the best animation.
It does, animation, good animation doesn't always mean a good animated short.
Yes. Because you want to talk about one that's they clearly came up with just an idea to show something cool. This was it. Mm-hmm. It's these two door-to-door salesmen. Their car breaks down in the middle of the desert. They're out there. They realize that they're not going to be able to find anyone for a while, so they're just going to stay out there the night, and they're going to sleep. And then that night, the older guy, he's talking to the younger guy, played by Yuri Lowenthal, and he's talking to him and just goes, so then it got me thinking. And I don't even remember what he was saying before this.
He was saying, how... if there are ghosts that haunt houses, why can't there be...
Yeah, but what was the thing that got him to that?
I don't know. I think he just started off that.
Yeah, it just kind of cuts to that, and it's just this totally random thing for him to say.
I guess, but
why don't animals haunt the places where they used to live? It's that's an odd thing to say. And then that night, the ghost of prehistoric creatures that existed when this was just an ocean in this area are now swimming around. And it's basically just these two guys looking around oh, wow, at all these fish and stuff just swimming around them. And it looks pretty. It looks really damn pretty. It looks fantastic. And then Yuri Lowenthal's I want to go swimming. And he's ripping all his clothes off and then he's swimming through the air this is amazing. And then the older guy sees a big megalodon swimming around and it comes up, it eats him, and then you just see the trail of blood floating in space as the fish floats away. I was okay, now what happens? Credits.
Yep.
It's
okay.
All right, well, was it man's hubris that caused this?
No, it's just pretty to look at.
Yeah, exactly. It's this is one of those where it's this really feels like it needed a message and there's no message to it. Don't get me wrong. There's a lot in here that have no messages to them and they're really cool because it's a fun adventure with likable characters that you get to know. This one, you don't really get to know the characters all that much.
No, not really.
There's no adventure. It's just a cool thing to look at.
They broke down the middle of the desert. There really isn't much of an adventure.
It's really just an excuse to look at fish floating around in the desert. And that's cool, but... when he gets eaten there at the end, I was what did he do to deserve that? Is there a message about respecting nature in here? Why did this happen? I don't know. I don't know, but it looks cool, doesn't it? So yeah, this is honestly my least favorite of them.
Yeah.
Next is Lucky 13. This is a really cool one, I thought.
Yeah.
Yeah, Lucky 13 is about this pilot of this ship. You don't know why they're fighting a war. It's in the future. They're on some alien planet. You don't really know the details of any of this. But it's the ship that has had the entire crew die twice. And the ship's number starts with a 13, ends with a 13, and if you add up all the numbers in between, it adds up to 13. And
it's a 130213.
Something like that, yeah. And they said, well, pilots are very superstitious people. They don't want to... Wait, 0, 1, 2... whatever. They said pilots are very superstitious. They don't want to get on something that's got this many 13s in there and already has bad luck. But because she's the rookie, she gets assigned to it. And she goes out there, and she is able to save her entire team and get that ship out. And then she says, well, I kept going, and I kept going, and I kept going, and I never lost a single person. And then it basically becomes a story about the last flight of her with this ship. And you kind of get the sense that the ship, in a way, is alive, and the two of them have bonded in a way. And I actually found that to be pretty touching, and I enjoyed that. And there's actually a really kind of touching moment at the end where she has to destroy the ship. I really enjoyed that.
It's like she had to destroy the ship, but it's like the ship like ended up like destroying itself.
Yeah, the ship, she set the self-destruct sequence, but the ship wouldn't blow up. And then she looked at it, and then she goes, she doesn't want to go. And then she decides, you know what? These guys, we had to leave our ship because the enemies were approaching. Fuck this, get off my ship. And she starts firing back at them, but they're all now firing at her, and then the ship blows up, and you kind of get that sense that the ship now sacrifices them.
Yeah.
The ship was okay to go because it wanted to save her. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I actually found this to be pretty touching. I enjoyed it. I don't know, what about you?
I thought it was okay. I mean, just like, the thing about like this anthology is like there's a lot of soldiers fighting evil robots, evil things in the future. It's like, okay, I'm getting kind of tired of this.
Fair enough. Next is Zima Blue. Do you know what the animators on this one had done before this?
No.
Because the animation style looked incredibly familiar, but I cannot place my finger on it. I'm trying to look up like who like worked on this one, but sorry, that'll take me forever. But yeah, it is in the future. There is an artist named Zima Blue, and he has been creating these bigger and bigger monuments, and they're big, giant blue squares, and he's created, like, entire solar systems that have, like, just blue painted all over them, and he's known as one of the most mysterious artists out there. He's Banksy of the 31st century. And this one journalist is now finally given the chance to interview him. And at the end of this, you see Zima Blue, and he has got, like, this robotic body, and they say that he had his body completely turned into a cyborg, so that way he could survive in any environment. And he basically just wandered the universe, going from planet to planet, going across stars, going into infinite oceans, just going on to an entire brand new planet. Like, you see him, like, meditating on, like, Saturn's rings. It looks amazing to look at this. And he's clearly searching for something. And he reveals to this journalist that he dug up. He spent like years trying to find this pool that someone used to own. And he had dug up. This pool was a pool where someone, long ago, invented a tiny robot to just clean the tiles. But they thought maybe it can do a better job if we give it sight and we give it enough knowledge to understand the concept of doing a good job. And then they kept tinkering with it. And tinkering with it.
And it was able to do more things.
And then their owner died, and it got passed on to another person who tinkered with it more, and then they died and got passed on to someone else who tinkered with it more. And that's who Zima Blue is. Mm-hmm. He started off as a little tiny robot that was only designed to clean little tiny squares. And then he said, tonight is my final show. And he dives into the pool, and all these people are like, oh, brilliant. Oh, it's performance art. Yes, wonderful. And then his body starts breaking apart, and everyone is horrified by this. And then out comes this little tiny robot that just starts cleaning these little tiny squares. And he says basically what he was searching for was happiness. And that was the happiness they knew, knowing he did a good job. It's like, holy shit, this might be the heaviest of any of them. This one might have like the biggest, most deep soul-searching message of any of them.
He was also like trying to find his home too, wasn't he?
Yes, that was it. Like he was just trying to find like, yeah, listen, man, it's kind of the message of this is that knowledge can be a burden. That knowledge, going out there exploring, like it can really take a toll on you. Yeah, I thought this one, and the animation I think is great in here. Mm-hmm. I wish I could remember what this reminds me of. But there's an animation style that it really does like remind me, and I cannot remember. Next is Blind Spot. I have completely forgotten this one.
That's the one.
Oh, right.
Yeah, the robots trying to get the little.
This is another one kind of like Soul Sucker, in which it's just like, there's no point or anything to this. It's just watch these cool action figures like punch something.
I like the designs of the robots, though.
I did like that. That was actually really cool. And, you know, action's kind of cool. It's a fun little heist thing. Mm-hmm. That's all. Nothing really else to it. It's got Claptrap in there. That's cool. I do like the fact that we got Claptrap and GLaDOS in the same series. That's actually really
Soldier
dope.
76.
And Soldier 76. Well, he's not a robot.
He's not a robot, but
He's a cyborg of sorts, but yeah. If they had gotten Zenyatta in one of these, that'd actually be pretty cool. Zenyatta or Risa. There's a lot of robots that you could have chosen from Overwatch, and you went with Soldier 76. How dare you?
Well, he did play a soldier.
Yeah, that's cool. Goddamn, I can't get over the fact that it was Soldier 76 saying lines like, quote, "He's not the first one to get into trouble for eating a little pussy." At that moment, I just went, Soldier 76, you're someone's dad. How dare you? For shame, sir. Clutch those pearls. It was so weird. Yeah, Blind Spot, I don't really have anything else to say other than it was like, all right, cool design. It's a fun little adventure. Yeah, that's fun. Ice Age. I like this one. And this is the one that actually has like live action people in there. It's got Topher Grace and Mary Elizabeth Winstead. And it's this couple that move into a new apartment. And this couple is very charming, but then again, Topher Grace and Mary Elizabeth Winstead are both two very charming people. I would watch a show that's just those two hanging out in an apartment the entire time. I'm glad that Topher Grace, by the way, is finally getting a resurgence in his career. That guy had an awful agent for many years, but he's finally getting put in good stuff. And they have this old refrigerator. They open it up, and they discover there is a tiny civilization inside. It's basically that episode of that Treehouse of Horror.
I was gonna say, Simpsons did it.
Yeah. It is just that Treehouse of Horror episode where Lisa has a petri dish with like an entire civilization going on. But I think that was actually based on a short story.
Yeah.
So it might actually be the same short story.
Yeah.
So this one, it's got the least animation in it, but I thought the animation in it was pretty cool.
Like, I don't know if I would say... Well, I guess as far as screen time goes, yes, least animation, but like they had to animate a lot.
That's very true.
They had to animate an entire civilization being built and deconstructed over and over and over again.
That's very true. They did have a lot that they had to do in that. There's no like character model they could create and just use over and over again. Yeah, you're right. They absolutely deserve respect on that. In fact, they may have done more animation on this than any of the others. You actually have a very good point. Like, it's slowly hitting me how much stuff builds up, falls down, builds up again.
And yet all those little people in cars moving around within those buildings. It's like...
That's really impressive. You're right. Oh, wow. I was not giving them enough credit on that. But I really like Topher Grace and Mary Elizabeth Winstead in here. I think that they are great together. Just for how blasé they are about, oh, hey, we've got little people living in our fridge.
Oh, okay.
That's a whole civilization. Like, I really just loved how, like, oh, wow, isn't that neat? They were about this whole thing. And I love that this was, like, their TV. Like, there's a moment where their fridge declares war on itself, and there's just bombs going off in there. Like, what are we going to do? Guess we'll order a pizza. And then you see them there just, like, eating a pizza, just looking at the closed door of their fridge, like, think it's okay to open it now? Just, like, that's how, like, there's nuclear bombs going off in your fridge, and you're just like, all right, nothing we can do about it here. Yeah, I really enjoyed that about.
And wasn't John DiMaggio like?
John DiMaggio has a credit in here, but all we can think of is that there is one voice that someone inside the fridge has. Which, by the way, there's a great moment which they say, "Do you think they look at us like we're their gods?" And then it cuts to like one guy on a construction beam going, "Oh, these two jagoffs just staring at us the whole time."
So that could have been him. I wouldn't be surprised.
He's kind of known for doing that voice. Next up is alternate histories. I think this one's a cool idea.
Yeah, it's like if this was like an app for a phone, I mean that would be impressive.
It is basically an ad for an app, which allows you to search back through history and check alternate realities that could have sprung out from that. It says, as an example, one of our most popular is the death of Hitler. Here's 6 different ways it could have happened. And it's a cool idea. But around, like, the 3rd or 4th death, I was just like, yeah.
Okay, this is silly. This is not meant to be,
I get this now. Like, when this thing began, I was like, oh, shoot. What all are they going to do with this? Oh, they're just going to show us all 6 different ways that Hitler could have died. Oh, okay.
And they're all, it's like it gets more and more ridiculous.
It gets more and more ridiculous, but honestly, my favorite was the first one where he's just beaten to death by a couple of Jewish guys. Yeah, I was totally fine with that one.
Like, if this was, like... a channel, like, if this was a video on YouTube, and, like, that channel would just, like, constantly do, like, alternate
Honestly,
histories.
if this wasn't 17 or 18 part long, anthology series with different creators coming on here with their own different stories, that would be perfect. But instead, it's just this one thing. I'm just like, oh, okay, that's nice. Yeah, I was totally, all right, I'm fine with that. Whatever.
And then...
the last one is The Secret War, which...
I kind of felt like that was like a poor way to end the anthology.
When this thing ended, I went, oh, that was it?
Yeah.
Oh,
It's
okay.
like I said, there are a lot of these shorts that involve like soldiers fighting monsters.
Yeah.
And this is definitely one of them.
This
so
was
it's
the
like,
most soldiers fighting monsters thing that I'll
yeah, so it's like when it came to that, it's like, oh, I'm kind of done here.
Yeah. Yeah, it really was just like, okay, in like 1950s Russia, it's revealed that someone tried to summon some demons and they went nuts, so now it's basically these soldiers out there in the cold having to track the demons down and having to fight them. And honestly, if we didn't have a couple of other soldier ones in here, or if this was like maybe like the third or fourth one we watched, I would have probably been really damn impressed with it. But this was not the way to go out. Like, Zima Blue would have been the perfect one to go out with. I think that would have been an amazing one to end with. Yeah, this was not the strongest end. It's cool.
Yeah.
But it's kind of like the werewolf one, in which I was like, yeah, it's cool.
And once again, it's like, it's very realistic animation, but it's like, I'd rather...
That's not what you want.
No,
yeah.
I'd rather go with style over realism, honestly.
What would you say, we're going to now start, like, ranking them.
I don't know if...
What would you say probably had the best animation? Like, your favorite style of animation? The one that impressed you the most?
I don't know, it's like Zima Blue has really good animation.
Zima Blue might be it because of those shots of him like walking around the universe, like him like walking into the lava or like him meditating on Saturn.
But as far as like plot goes, I think Suits would be...
Okay.
Yeah, or like story-wise, I guess I would say. No, it's like either that or Good Hunt, or like the Suits and Good Hunt and are like my two favorites because I like Suits has good characters.
Yes.
Good Hunting has great animation and a very interesting story.
Yes.
And Zima Blue I enjoy because of like, you know, like the animation of course and like the message behind it. So like those are my three favorites.
Those are your three favorites?
Yes.
All right, let's see. My number one favorite is Suits. Number two is Three Robots. For number three, ooh man, this is tough. I kind of want to say Beyond the Aquila Rift. But it's all for that ending. Like, it is so hard for me to put that at number three. But that ending is so damn good. It's either Beyond the Aquila Rift or Zima Blue is my number three. But here's the thing. I've seen so many other people ranking their top three, and none of the things that we said have been in a lot of other people's top threes. Well, that's what's great about this. Is that there's so many different tones and so many different styles that everybody out there can really see their own thing in this. Everybody can get their own impact from this. So yeah, hopefully you guys watched this before you watched our review on this. If you didn't, then that was dumb of you.
Yeah.
But if you didn't, then go and watch it now. This thing was great. And I really want to see them keep doing this. Man, I really just want to go and watch those three again. Those are just really damn good. Yeah, thank you guys very much for tuning in. We have another review coming hopefully later today for us. Our schedule this weekend has been weird, so I haven't been able to get to the theater as early as we normally would. But yeah, hopefully we'll be seeing us and we'll be putting it up later tonight. If not, it'll be up tomorrow. But thank you guys for tuning in. Come back next time.
Bye.
Bye.